Sai Ram, good evening, brothers and sisters. And I would like to offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of Swami. And I'm very thankful to all of you for having me over. It's a pleasure coming all the way to Hollywood. You know, I usually pass by, I never come into town, so it's a beautiful town. I've heard a lot about Hollywood stuff, so I'm happy to be here. It was very inspiring bhajans, you know, and I think the atmosphere is so beautiful here. When each one of you were, singing, it felt as though I was in a big theater where there were hundreds of, people singing. It was that, it was very strong. I felt very much in the back that there were more than 50 people singing. That's how I felt. It was very strong. So thank you. I would like to start off with how I came to Swami first. A little story about that. Gene has already given introduction on how I came to Swami. It was in 1988 when I actually met my husband in my sister's wedding, and then I got engaged to him in 1989, April. I was in a city called Madras, and I did not know much about Baba at that time, only through my grandmother, who was an ardent devotee of Swami, but I knew very little at that time. So the day I got engaged, my husband's aunt told me that there's a house in Madras where there are a lot of miracles happen, and she wanted me to go and get the blessings. So being spiritual all my life, and I was always interested to know about gurus, and when she told me that my husband's family follows ardently Sathya Sai Baba, I felt that it's important for me to know this guru. So when I went to her house, the lady was actually waiting outside the door, outside her house, and as I walked, I was coming near the door, she said, "Welcome." And she said, "I knew Swami had told me you were coming." And she held my hand, took me directly to her bedroom, opened a cupboard, it's more like a closet, and I saw a heap of kumkum and haldi, which is, the red powder, which is very sacred for women in India. We put that on our forehead. And haldi is turmeric, which is also very, very important for women who are going to be married. So she showed me there were hands print on those heaps, and she said, "This is Baba blessing you." And then she gave me a picture of Swami with triple S, written, decorated with flowers in the picture, and she said, "Your marriage is going to be success, sweet, and sheer." And I was surprised because I did not know who told her about I got engaged and I was going to get married. So that was my first introduction, and she gave me the book Man of Miracles. My aunt who took me there, my husband's aunt who took me there, she gave me the book and I read it, and I was into Swami since then. My journey to Swami since then has been incredible, and probably I'm the only one who got a lot of experience through dreams. I never had an interview with Swami. Everything to me came through my dream. So to me, my dreams are real, very much real. Everything that has happened, even until recently, just last week, right after Thanksgiving, before Thanksgiving, after Swami's birthday celebration, I had another dream. I'll share that also later with you. But I would like to start off saying, I want to probably mention one experience under different categories I have put it. The first thing I would like to say is dreams are real. So I want to start off saying how Swami came in my dream and made that real. Right after I got married to my husband, my husband being a green card holder at that time, there was no chance for me to join him. To come to US, and the wait period was about 2 years at that time. And my brother, who had a plan before, told me that I can come under tourist visa to join my husband. And most of the women I talked to at that time who got married in India discouraged me, saying that, oh, you don't get the tourist visa. And somehow I thought I'll try it out. And my mother-in-law, after my marriage, my husband left and to US, back to his work, and I stayed back in Bombay with my mother-in-law. And when I was there, all her neighborhood people were telling me, Swami has not come to Bombay for the last 6.5, 7 years. Because Swami said there was too much politics in Bombay, so he said he was not going to come. And I was looking at Swami's picture in my mother-in-law's house, and I said, Swami, I'm just getting to know you. I want to see you. I don't know if I can come to Puttaparthi because pretty soon I'm going to go to Madras to try for my tourist visa. But I wanted to see you so much in here, Bombay. The next day, I saw my mother-in-law's neighbor, came running, telling my mother-in-law that Swami is coming. She said, Swami is coming. And my mother-in-law was so thrilled. She said, oh, this is a great opportunity. Let's go see him. So with great enthusiasm, I went to Dharmakshetra, and there were thousands and thousands of people gathered. And my mother-in-law told me that, let's sit in the back here. And Swami was looking so small from where I was seated. I was so disappointed the first day. I said, I came all the way to see Swami, and I'm all the way sitting in the back. So I went back home, and I told Swami in the picture, I spoke to him, I said, you came all the way here, and I went to see you. But I got to see, sit all the way in the back. I never got to see you. Swami, what is this? I don't think this is fair. And somebody told me in my neighborhood, in my mother-in-law's neighborhood, that, oh, your mother-in-law is a green card holder, so you show the passport that you have come from abroad, and you'll be able to sit in the front. So I told my mother-in-law, oh, that's a great opportunity. Let's do that the next day. So I told my mother-in-law, oh, we can sit in the front if you show your passport. My mother-in-law said, Swami knows how to call if he really wants to call you. You just pray from your heart. We don't need to do all those things here. So my mother-in-law, being an ardent devotee of Swami since 1970s, she was in Sevadal, went to Parthi many times before that. So knowing Swami, she was so firm in her saying to me, I kept quiet. Went to see Swami the next day, again, same old thing, all the way in the back. And I said, oh my God, this is what I deserve looks like this time. And I was so upset, and I was sitting behind. A lady was passing by, looked behind, to the left, and she said, oh, Rama, which is my mother-in-law, you're here from US? Oh, come on, let's go, let's go. And my mother was looking at her. She said, it's okay, we are comfortable here. She said, no, you come. I want to take you in the front. She just carried us all the way, breaking through the crowd. I was on the first row. Wow. My mother-in-law said, you sit, I'll sit behind you. And Swami walked in, and he looked at me, he smiled, and he blessed. And that was an incredible experience for me. My mind went blank, like everybody else. I saw people giving letters, things. Swami would take some, Swami would not take some. Swami would bless some from far off. I didn't understand any of that. I came home that night and I asked my mother-in-law, what is this? Swami, why is he not taking everybody's letter or anything people give? And my mother-in-law said, Swami has his own way of blessing. He does not even need to see any of that. Some really want to give, and Swami has his ways of answering everybody. So she said, you want to give a letter to Swami? You can give that because you're going to try for visa. And I said, oh yeah, that's a great idea, let me do it. And then the next moment I thought, oh my God, if Swami doesn't take it, it's going to discourage me. I think I'm not going to get it. Now, if he doesn't take it, I won't get it. So I better not try it. I was in such a dilemma. The third day when I went, I decided not to give him finally. I said, I don't want to be disappointed. I'll just take a chance and go to Madras and try. The next day passed by, and after, the darshan was over, I came home. I was sleeping in the bedroom. All of a sudden, I woke up in the afternoon. I opened my eyes. I see a whole wall turned into golden color with Swami standing there. Nothing but that. It was an incredible vision. And I'm pinching myself to see, is it really dream or real? I couldn't believe. By the time I kind of got my sense, I saw everything had vanished. All the gold color, everything was vanished, and it was just Swami's picture there. And I was very kind of, you know, getting to know Swami at the time. And I started repenting. I wish I had given the letter to Swami. I made a big mistake. I should have given a letter to Swami. I felt so bad that night when I went off to sleep. Next day, the same lady who had called us in the front row came back to our home and she said, new daughter-in-law has come and I have to invite you to have dinner with lunch with us. Why don't you bring your daughter-in-law? So I went to her house, had nice lunch with her. She came after the lunch, sat next to me, and she looked at me and she said, your daughter-in-law is good. You know, she told my mother-in-law to make her happy. And then she looked at me and she said, why don't you give a letter to Swami? I'm going to Parthi. My son is getting a gold medal. Swami is honoring my son. Why don't you give a letter to Swami? I'll take it. And I looked at her. I said, are you sure? And she said, yeah, Swami is going to tell me I'm doing a postman's job, but I'll do it for you. It really hit my heart. I really felt Swami was listening to me because I felt so bad the night before that I wish I had given the letter to Swami. So I gave the letter to her. The next day I wrote, and then I started bugging my mother-in-law after she left. How is Swami going to answer me? How is he going to let me know that I'm going to get my visa? I was kind of guaranteed, okay? I sent the letter, Swami has asked me, I did it, I'm going to get my visa. So my mother-in-law said, you have to patiently wait. It may come in the mail, a letter from Swami. He may come in your dream. He may call you. There are many ways Swami communicates. I was so impatiently waiting. A week probably passed by and it was time for me to go to Madras. I told my mother-in-law nothing is happening. So she said, don't worry about it. He knows how to take care. That night I had a dream. I was in Disneyland with my sister and her husband. And I'm sitting and watching the characters passing by. And all of a sudden I'm seeing Swami passing by. And I tell my sister, oh my God, I did not know Disneyland has Swami's character. I said, oh my God, this is really surprising to me. And at that time, Swami walked straight to me, stood in front of me, he showed his arm and said something even now I don't know, I don't remember. And the dream got over. I woke up and I woke my mother-in-law at 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, wake up, I had a dream. I don't understand what's the meaning of this. And I told her the story. She said, that means you're going to America, you're going to California, you're going to go to Disneyland with your sister. I said, impossible, because I'm going to fly to New York. When I get my visa, I'm going to fly to New York to your son's home. I have no plans to go to California to my sister's home. It happened so. I went for my visa, I got my visa. And they wrote in my passport that I have to visit my brother. You know, I have to go with my parents. And I have to go to California because my brother had sponsored at the time. So I ended up in California, in Northern California. It happened so, my husband said, it's going to take me another 3 weeks to move to an apartment from the studio. So he said, why don't you go to my sister's home? His sister also lives here in Anaheim. He said, why don't you tour everybody and then come? And I go to my sister's home in Mission Viejo at that time, and she's still there. And I visited my sister-in-law, and then I went to my sister's home, and she said, Roopa, I just came to settle down in USA from Indonesia, 2 years ago. She had just come down. She said, I have not seen Disneyland. And the moment I came to know you are coming, I decided to go with you. Can we go? I said, oh my God, let's go. And my mother, I went to Disneyland with my brother-in-law, my sister, and I was sitting and watching the parade. I told loudly, Swami, don't show me your presence, I'm going to faint. I do not want to see, I know my dream is real, that you showed exactly what had to happen. So since then, I've had many, many, many dreams. And I could go just an hour on dreams, but I don't want to do that. But I just wanted to share that with you, that dreams are real. That was my first experience with Swami on, dream. The next thing I want to talk about is miracles of Vibhuti. What this Paramam Pavitram Bhava Vibhutim, Paramam Vichitram Leela Vibhutim, Paramartha Ishtartha Moksha Pradhanam, Bhava Vibhutim Idamashrayami. Every time that Vibhuti was given to me, I took it with so much faith all the time. And I said, God, there's nothing beyond this, even now. I get fever, I get headaches, even my 2 children came out of cesarean. I applied only Vibhuti. I never took any medication, not even a Tylenol. So to me, it is so powerful. There's nothing beyond this. My husband is a physician, but even he believes in Vibhuti. My children believe in Vibhuti more than anything. I want to share a very wonderful experience we had of that. 1997 or 98, we were blessed to attend Swami's Golden Chariot celebration. We came back to Bangalore and we were traveling in a car to do our shopping on MGM Road, which is kind of one of the shopping areas. The driver that we had hired from one of the agencies was very young and he was driving very fast. And ever since he came to pick us up from Patparthi, I was telling him, please go slow, there's no rush, there's no rush. And my husband got so tired of that, he said, this guy is from Bangalore, he knows what he's doing. Don't bother telling him every now and then to go slow. He knows what he's doing. So on that road, we were going in the afternoon, evening, we had to catch a flight to USA. This driver was driving fast, he was ahead of everybody. I saw a girl crossing and he did not see and she did not see him. She was looking on the other side to cross our side. She was crossing on the middle of the street. She came and she hit the side of the car so hard. She fell. I looked back and I saw she had fallen on the street and all the vehicles that were coming way behind stopped. I screamed at him and I said, stop the car. You hit the girl, you know, and he immediately stopped the car. My husband and I ran out. We picked her up. She was unconscious. Brought her to the car, put her on my lap, her leg. Her head was on my husband's lap. We told the driver, go to the hospital immediately, and she was bleeding from her head. And my husband, being physician, you know, he checked her pulse. As the driver said, oh my God, is she dead? We said, don't worry about it. Just drive to a near hospital. And we were driving and my husband checked the pulse and he could not find pulse. And again, he checked everywhere else, wherever he was supposed to check her pulse on, you know, on her neck and everywhere. He said, Roopa, I don't see her pulse at all. I think she is dead. And I said, no, it cannot be. I said, it just cannot be, you know. He said, no, I don't see her pulse. It went on for 15 minutes, no pulse. And the first time he told me, I said, let's chant the name of Swami. We started chanting Om Shri Sathya Sai Krishnaya Namaha. That was taught by Dr. Gadi uncle every time he used to visit us at that time. We started chanting loudly Om Shri Sathya Sai Krishnaya Namaha, Om Shri Sathya. And he kept on checking. There was no news of the pulse. And then he said, you know what, even if she comes back, she may have severe head injury because she's bleeding. She may not remember where she's coming from. And the driver was so nervous, he couldn't even take her to a hospital because he kind of lost track of where he was going. And it continued for 20 minutes. And immediately I remembered a container of Vibhuti that Swami had told me in my dream that was actually a wedding gift that was given by somebody in the family. But Swami had come in my dream and said, put Vibhuti in it, it'll be the miracle Vibhuti. And I remembered that. I took it out of my container, my purse. I took the Vibhuti from it. I told my husband, open her mouth. I want to put the Vibhuti in her mouth. I put the Vibhuti in her mouth and, you know, it was very dry because her mouth was dry and I put a little bit of water. The moment that went inside, she came back. And it was an amazing thing for us. My husband being a physician, seeing her without pulse for 15, 20 minutes, and then, you know, her coming back to conscious to that level that she even remembered her name. She said, oh my God, you know, she said, oh, it's hurting my hand. That's all she had. At the end, towards the hospital, I told the driver, it was already late. I told him, we are going to give you money, take her to the hospital inside. We have to catch another auto rickshaw, go back to my cousin's home, pack and leave that evening. We are going to call your agency right away as soon as we go home and let them know what has happened. You stay with the girl. So he said, that's fine. And we gave him the money and the girl was, you know, back to her conscious. And the hospital authority brought the stretcher. So we got out and we said, oh my God, we don't even have a single taxi coming that way. I said, Swami, you got to help. We have a long commute to go back to my cousin's home. And immediately then auto rickshaw came, and I told, let's jump in it. It was an empty auto rickshaw. Jumped in with all our things. We sat there, we told him where we needed to go, and I said, Sai Ram. And the auto rickshaw guy says, Sai Ram. And I was shocked. I said, oh my God. And he said, Amma, I'm a devotee of Sai. This auto rickshaw is coming from his grace. And within no time, he drove us back. Before we knew, we were in my cousin's home. He asked me for that special vibhuti that I carried, and I gave a bit of that to him. And we got out, we called the agency. We told him what had happened. They said they'll send another car. They sent another car immediately. We packed up and we left to the airport. When I landed back here, my thought was into that girl. I called the agency owner and I asked what happened to the girl. He said, oh, she was discharged within 2 days. So that was the greatest miracle, for me. And I've had many miracles to share, but I will just go on to each, different categories that I have put it under. But that's one of the miracles we had about Vibhuti. And the next thing I want to talk about is faith and surrender. That's my experience on Swami. I didn't have children for the longest 13 years after my marriage. And I think in my family, I broke the record of having the longest honeymoon with my husband for 13 years. And I think with many of my friends too. So it happened so that we were working, Ashok and I, my husband and I, used to do house cleaning service under Love Crew for Senior Center of Corona for many years. And then we switched over to medical camps. And no calls came after that for house cleaning, believe it or not. And we got busy with the first medical camp under America United, and that was with the interfaith groups of Corona. And a lot of Sai devotees were involved, but it was happening under America United after the 2002, the attack that happened in New York on the twin buildings. So we all interfaith groups came together, city came together, so we put this camp together. And what had happened, Swami had come in my dream again. And he told me, you will get pregnant before November. Come and see me after the baby is born. And he had said that 6 years had passed by. I did not get pregnant. So I had given up. I said, Swami's ways of letting you know, he only knows how he talks about this. So I had not gone to India to see my family. Even though many of my family members live in India, I had told, okay, Swami is going to give me the baby, then only I'm going to go to India. So I did not go to India for 6 years. And that was the 7th year we were doing the medical camp. And the medical camp was incredible experience. It went wonderful. And people got to know who we were, and as Sai devotees. And they wanted to see more of the medical camps after that. But then it happened so that Swami came in my dream and blessed me. And I came to know I was pregnant on Krishna Janmashtami day before November of that year. And after I got pregnant, Swami said, again he came in my dream, he said he was going to name the child. And he came and initiated Gayatri Mantra to me. And I have had I was doing house cleaning project at that time still. I was doing house cleaning project. So I was pregnant till 9 months. I was doing house cleaning. I would always take the bathroom and toilets because these were handicapped people, and it would take me 3 or 4 hours to clean. I would do it every time. That was my pleasure to do. Even my husband would join me to do all of that. But when I got pregnant, my husband said, Roopa, you're pregnant after 13 years. He said, you got to be very careful. And you got to take care of yourself because, the baby is coming. And I said, this is given by Swami. He will take care. I said, I don't have to worry about it. I'll never stop what I'm doing because that's Swami's work, and he will take care of me. 9 months, I never threw up. I never sat saying that I'm tired. I did all my housework. I did my cleaning. I was running my business as an interior designer by profession. I did everything. When I was 6 months pregnant, that morning of 30th of December, I had a vision in front of my own eyes that I had no legs. I was on a wheelchair with no baby in my stomach. I saw over and over all through the day. And that night, my sister had invited all of us for a gathering. Always on the 31st, we have a bhajan till midnight. So she said, let me have it on the 30th. I just want to have it for you because you're pregnant, and let's have the family gathering. And my husband had told me that morning that he would not come because he was busy with his work. It was a Monday, and he's always busy with patients on Monday. He said, no, I can't give up on that. I'll come later. I will not be able to come. So I had decided to go with my sister-in-law, who was nearby, and my mother-in-law that evening. And I kept seeing this vision of me, no baby in the stomach, no leg on the wheelchair. By evening, I told Swami, you're showing me over and over. If that is what you will, that'll prevail. I leave it to you. I surrender to you. If that is what you have, you are going to bless me with. By evening, my husband called and he said, I want to take you. I'll be coming home and I'll take you. So he came a little bit late. We went. We had a nice gathering that night. We were coming back, and my mother-in-law was keeping my husband occupied, busy, so he would not go to sleep. I was sitting in the front with my legs up, and subconsciously I knew the house exit came. So I put my leg down and I pushed myself back, and I was still in the sleeping position. As we were coming up, we live on the hill, and all of a sudden there was a big bang, and my side, the tire blew, and we went up in the air. The whole car went up, and I was screaming my husband's name, thinking something happened to him. By the time I woke up, we landed back. The car landed back on the street. And I opened my eyes to see the car was smoking. All the parts from the front of my side had come inside from the front of the impact. And with great difficulty, we got out from the side of my husband. And we came out and we asked my husband, what happened? Did somebody hit us? He said, no, I think, looks like I went off to sleep, just for a moment. My mother-in-law was keeping him occupied till the end. The exit came, she was looking at me, she was happy. Oh, Roopa is going to have the baby pretty soon, and it's after so many years she's having the baby. She stopped talking, and that moment, that happened, and that bang was actually on the pole. He had hit the electric, the light pole. If he had not hit that pole, it was a 200 feet ditch, and her car would have gone down, and what Swami had showed me would have happened probably, and he saved me that night. We came back home, and my husband said, oh, we got to go check next day how the baby is because you jumped up so high, and we had this accident. Went back to the hospital, everything was fine with the baby. And time passed by again, and I was waiting. Everybody was asking what name you're going to keep. Why? You have to have the name ready here. And I said, Swami has said he's going to give the name. I leave it to Swami. So my husband was concerned. He said, what? Swami gives Gundappa. What? Swami gives this, silly names. And I said, don't worry. Swami says he knows the best name he will give. And Swami showed the name in my dream 2 weeks, probably 3 weeks before the baby was born, as Ishwara. And he is now known as Ishu, Lord Jesus. So that's another thing I want to say, that when you have faith and surrender, and I've got many stories to talk about just on faith and surrender, but I don't want to get into that. But I want to talk about another thing that I can talk is the Swami's presence after 2011. When Swami got ill, we were all sad, we were praying, and I always felt that, okay, Swami, if it is the time, it is the time, but we want you here, physically. But I always felt Swami's presence in my house, wherever I went. I always felt Swami pervades the whole universe. So when Swami left his physical presence, we were supposed to go to Puttaparthi on our Glendale trip, Balvika's group. And when we had planned and we came to know that Swami's physical presence was gone, I felt Swami has left his physical limitation. I really felt that Swami is now freely moving everywhere. We don't have to be attaching Swami only to Parthi. So when I went to Parthi, I was very happy. I was even more happy because every time I would go there, the stress would be there to get the coupon number, you know, to sit in the front. And when you don't get, you're so disappointed. This time I said, hey, everybody's going to get the Pada Namaskar. There's no rush, you know, we can go, everybody gets Swami's, you know, equal darshan. So I was very happy. And after, you know, being there in Parthi, we had an incredible program. We came back to Bangalore. And always, I have a big family in India. So what happens is, by that we take whatever amount of suitcases we take. We are 4 in the family, 2 kids, and my husband and myself. So we have 8 suitcases plus the pull-on, makes it 12, and then we have another handbag. So normally we have 13 to 14 bags with us, and everything goes full, everything comes back full, even more full from India, because you have a lot of cousins and family. And in 2011, I had 2 weddings to attend, my first niece and my first nephew. So after attending all of that, we carried so much stuff. And my brother in India actually has a big chain like this in our bedroom, where he has a hook and a weighing scale. And he always says, just check in your room when you pack up your things. So that evening we packed up everything, and this also comes under, you know, again, feeling his presence. We checked, and my husband said, I want to make sure we're not over carrying our baggages. We don't want to do that. We do this every time, and it's so hard, and you know, we need to try to convince and all that. I said, no problem. We made sure we had everything under control. But I had another whole suitcase of stuff that was supposed to go for kitchen. All my sambar powder, my curry powder, my pickles, Indian pickles, all that we use. So after my husband slept, slowly I opened up my suitcases, filled all my suitcases, and I checked them again. They were all overweight. I said, oh my God. But I didn't want to take it out. I said, Swami, the only way to succeed in my mission is to put Swami's Vibhuti Om on all the suitcases. I took Swami's Vibhuti, wrote Om, and I said, Swami, please save me from this. And the next day, my husband felt, when he was putting the suitcase out, he said, did you put things in there? They all look heavy. You know, he felt kind of, don't do that. I said, just leave it to me. I didn't say anything, just leave it to me. Swami is there to take care. And so we went to the airport. We had 3 porters carrying 3 carts full of 13 bags. And we went to the counters. And my husband said, okay, I'll be sitting there with the kids. And he knew that I was going to get into trouble, so he said, I'll be sitting there. I said, no problem. And the lady was checking everything on both sides, and they were all, you know, we were supposed to carry 22 kg, and I think they were 26.8, 28, you know, 27. And I had kept my pull-on bag separate because they were very heavy. They were like, you know, stones. And I had kept them away. And she said, ma'am, all your suitcases are heavy. And she said, are you carrying any pull-ons? I said, yes. Let me weigh them, please. I was supposed to carry 6 kg, and there were 11 and 12 and 9. She said, oh my God, they were all heavy. She said, I got to call the manager. So she called the manager, and my husband said, I'm going to go to the restroom and come. So he left. He left to the restroom with 2 kids. And I said, no problem. I stood there, and I said, I'm going to tell the manager the truth. So the manager came by, and he said, ma'am, my staff is saying that all your suitcases are very heavy. I said, sir, that's the truth. I came for 2 weddings, you know, so many gifts and so many stuff I have to take back. And I'm taking them. I said, why don't you charge me for 1 extra suitcase? Because they all came from 1 suitcase. I said, why don't you charge me for that and put them as 1 suitcase? He said, no way we can do that. He said, you need to take out, or you got to pay extra 42,000 or 47,000 rupees for all the suitcases together. And I told him, okay, then I will open the suitcases and see. But I don't know which ones they are, because he said there was 1 suitcase that was normal. All the other 7 suitcases all are overweight. Then the porters were standing there. He said, Amma, why don't we check again? You know, let's check. The manager said, yes, I need to check all of them again. So they put 1 suitcase, showed 28 something, and I'm chanting Om Shri Sai Ram, and it went down to 22. He put the suitcase out. He said, this is the one, sir, that was normal. That was the normal weight. He said, all the other ones are heavy. They put the second suitcase, showed 27 something. The moment they were seeing, it went down to 22. One by one, all 7 suitcases, they were overweight with 6 to 7 kgs, went down to 22. And then she said, sir, I don't know what was wrong. She said, the bags she's carrying, they're all heavy. They're not 6 kgs, sir, they're all 10 and 11 kgs. So he said, ma'am, let me weigh them also. So they put that, it shows 11 kg, runs down to 5.5. All of them went down to 5.5 to 6. Perfect. By then my husband had come and he was seated there with the kids. With his own eyes, he saw what was happening. And the manager said, I am so sorry. I don't know what happened with our machines. He said, ma'am, you're good to go. We'll take all your suitcases. And all I said was, God sees the truth. I did not want to tell him that, yes, I brought overweight and miracle happened because these people would not know what I'm talking. But I knew in my heart, Swami did it. And I promised Swami, I will never take advantage of your goodness, Swami. I make sure I'm not going to overcarry my suitcases. And I went in 2013, I made sure that I was, within my limit. So that was the greatest, presence of Swami. When you call him omnipresence, you call from your heart, he's there. And to me, I don't sit and pray to Swami all the time in my prayer room. I worship Swami as I drive. I see all of you as Swami. That's how I look at Swami now. Swami is not limited to a picture of Swami, or Swami is limited to a temple. Swami is everywhere. And recently I want to share another miracle that happened to me that showed Swami's presence. Last year at this time, I was going through severe headaches and giddiness. I felt that in the month of June, July, when I was about to go to India, and we had organized, my husband and I were blessed to organize my 3 siblings' 25th surprise wedding anniversary in Dana Point. So I didn't want to tell anybody anything about my headache or giddiness. I kept quiet. I went to India, came back, all the family members came from India and everywhere else. We had a fantastic gathering of family reunion, about 60 family members and friends, and we celebrated their 3 wedding anniversaries together for 3 days events we had, and they all left. Then came my cousin's wedding on Swami's birthday. I told myself, I'm going to see the doctor after all these things are over. And then Thanksgiving, we were supposed to be in Las Vegas, and I walked up and down with my cousins with my headache, and the giddiness would come every now and then. So I told myself, I got to go check this. On December 3rd or 4th, I decided to call my primary care doctor and wanted to tell her what was happening, and I was going to request her for an MRI. I made a phone call and she asked me to come on that Friday, which was, I think, the 5th of December, or the 6th, I'm sorry, 6th of December it was. And I went to see her, I explained to her what was happening. And when she checked me, she felt there were lumps in my breast. She felt I had knee joint pain, and she was very concerned. She said, Roopa, you're always busy doing the medical camps. You never come to see me. Even every year they had to push me to do mammogram and pap smear. And I said, she said, you have come today and I want you to go for an MRI this afternoon. The next day, we had Satyanarayana annual katha that we always do every year in our house, where we always invite my husband's colleagues. So that was the next day. So I came home, cooked pasta for my kids that afternoon. I told my mother, I have to go back to the hospital. They're going to do an MRI for me. And she all of a sudden, she asked me, why? What's wrong? And I happened to tell her at that time that I was having these headaches and I had giddiness, and this is what was happening. So I just want to rule out. She said, okay, go and come back, and she was getting ready for the prayer the next day. I went, and when they put me in the machine, I was chanting Swami's name happily, and I said, I'm going to relax. This is my time to relax. So I did very great. When I came out and talked to the technician, he didn't sound so good. He said, your doctor will call you. So I knew that something was coming up. So while I was driving home, I called my husband. I said, did you check the results? Because he being a physician, he had access to it. He said, oh, everything is going to be fine, not a big deal. You know, he said, you just go home. And the doctor called me and she said, I need to talk to you and your husband together. And I said, I'm still driving home. She said, okay, then you go home and I will call you when your husband is home. And she's my husband's very close cousin, you know, colleague. And by the time I called my husband back, his voice was already down. And he said, Roopa, I'm really shocked. I said, what is wrong? Tell me. He said they found a 5.2 centimeter tumor on my right brain. And he said, I cannot imagine what's going to happen. And I said, do you want me to come and pick you up? Because he sounded very low in energy. And he said, no, I want you to go home. I said, okay, I'll go home, come home. We'll talk about it. He said, do you want to cancel the prayer tomorrow? And I said, no, I'm not canceling the prayer tomorrow. I said, you come home, we'll talk about it. So I came home straight, went to Swami. I bowed down to him and I said, Swami, I leave it to you, what you want to decide about my life. Give me the strength and courage to face it. And give me the strength for my family. And the next moment I was on the phone calling my vendors to stop my installation for the following week because I was already, you know, I do remodelings all the time. And I was calling my dental group because we had medical camp coming up, dental camp coming up in January. And I was in charge of it and I had to make sure that it was taken care of. So I was busy making phone calls one by one to all these people. So my mother-in-law and my husband were very shaken up that night. And they wanted me to cancel the prayer because of my condition. They said, you are having persisting headache and this, we need to do it after your surgery. And I said, nothing doing. I said, we are going to continue to do it because Swami has always taken care. I said, I'm not worried about that. We need to get Swami's blessings. We'll continue to do this tomorrow. So we did that night, the surgeon called and he said, I am not too concerned about your tumor. He said it looks like water cyst in it, but he said, however, first thing on Monday I'm going to do the surgery for you. So Saturday was the prayer. We did the prayer and oh my God, I'm beyond time now. Okay, this is my last one. So I told my husband to mention my going into surgery to all his colleagues who came for the prayer. And I told my husband to request them to pray for me. I believed always that prayers do miracles. So I never believed in hiding anything from me anytime, you know, whatever situations I was in, always. So, and the next day morning came, we got up early, we finished cooking, and we had few friends came over for the prayer, and the prayer went on beautiful. We were able to do nice bhajans after that, and then my husband mentioned it to all his colleagues that I'm going in for surgery on Monday, and they all wished me good luck. And as they were leaving, there were a couple had come from Corona, from ICT, devout couple to Swami, came for the first time and got to know my family for the first time. And that lady was talking to my sister, and she said, oh, the prayer went so good, and the boy who came and sat, is that your son? And my sister said, there were only 2 children, Roopa's children today. My children are grown up and gone, they're in college. And she said, no, this is Ishwara's age. The boy came and he sat right. My sister said, that is Roopa's second son, Vishnu. And she said, no, this was the 3rd boy who came and sat behind Roopa next to Ishwara while the prayer was going on. And very good looking and, you know, boy. And my sister laughed. She said, there was nobody except Roopa's children, you know, today. All the colleagues who came didn't bring any children. Maybe it was Sai Baba, you know. She's not into Swami so much, so she said maybe it was Sai Baba. Matter ended there. Everybody left. And I was the first one to go for surgery on Monday. And while I was just getting into surgery, a very close colleague of my husband, who is an ardent devotee of Swami, who used to volunteer, even now volunteers in Swami's hospital, came to my surgery room in scrubs, and he said, Roopa, this is for you. And I said, what is this? It was a very thin paper. He said, Swami materialized this vibhuti 15 years ago in the interview room. And I said, have you ever taken this? He said, no, this is for you. And I knew it was coming directly from Swami to me, materialized 15 years ago. I took that vibhuti and put it on my forehead. I prayed to Swami, went for surgery, came out that evening, clear of, it was a benign. And the doctor had told me before that your headache and your giddiness will persist if it is benign. And with Swami's grace, my giddiness and my headache are gone. And after 2-3 days, the next day I came back home, I refused to take any heavy medication. I put Swami's vibhuti on my head. They made a 2-inch cut on my skull and on my head, and made a, I think, dime-sized hole in my skull to drain the water out. And it was more like a surgery. I came home and I recouped within a couple of days. I was driving. I went to thank the lady who had come to my house because her husband had offered help. His name is Ashok Uncle, and he had offered help to pick up my children and drop off from school because I was in the hospital. So I wanted to thank all the people in my neighborhood who helped me with the Christmas chocolates. So I went to see her, and she said, Roopa, I want you to come inside. I need to talk to you. So she made me sit, and she said, that day when I came to your house, people may think if I talk, I was hallucinating, I was daydreaming. I was not. I'm telling you the truth. I saw this boy walking in the same kurta pajama like your children. He came and sat next to Ishwara for a long time. He was not there for a minute. He was there for a long time. And I asked her, how was he looking? She said, fair, curly hair, and chubby cheeks, and he was very radiant. He was very wonderful to look at. I couldn't take my eyes off, and she was so impressed with his beauty. She said, that's the reason I thought it was your family member. And that time it struck me. I had a dream of Swami few months before. Swami had knocked on our door. When I opened the door, there was Shirdi Sai, Parthi Sai, and a boy in the middle. Exactly the way she had explained to me. And they all come in, and I look at Swami and I said, who is this boy? Swami says, Prema Sai. And my dream continued. The next scene in my dream was he was playing with my children. And in my dream, I was so thrilled. Oh my God, Prema Sai is playing with my children. And the dream continued, and I call Dr. Mike Congleton. And I say, Mike Uncle, can you believe? Prema Sai came as a boy to our home. And Mike Uncle says, he knocked on my door too. I saw him. My dream ended. But I knew at that time who he was and how he came to save me. So that was the way I feel Swami's presence. Just before I came in here, I went to the restroom. My dear friend from Glendale asked me, Roopa, I still remember some of your stories of you carrying Swami's paduka everywhere. And I told you that there was a story to it. And Swami ended that recently. It happened so right after Swami's birthday on the 24th, we left to Lake Tahoe. And in my rush, because the all-day event on the 23rd and the next day we had to leave early in the morning, I forgot Swami's paduka for the first time. And we drove in the car, middle of the way. I remembered, I told my husband, I can't believe I didn't bring Swami's padukas. And I said, the next moment I said, no, Swami is here. I don't need to feel bad. I told myself, Swami, you're in me. Why should I worry about this? I drove to my cousin's home where I always go in San Francisco. She was surprised too because I always bring Swami's padukas when I go to San Francisco to her house. So she said, I told her, do you see today I forgot something? She said, I know, you bring Swami's paduka and leave it in the prayer room. Today I don't see it anymore. I said, I forgot. I said, you know, I feel bad about it, but I'm sorry. She said, that's all right, Roopa. I'm so happy to see all of you. And before I went to sleep, I bowed down to Swami and I said, Swami, forgive me if I've hurt you, but don't think I'm ignoring you. I know you are with me always. And I went to sleep and I had a beautiful dream that it was a big gathering and Swami comes in the car and calls me to his car. He blesses me with vibhuti, he materializes vibhuti and gives it to me. And he says, don't worry, I'm always with you. And he tells me also another thing, that you will never run short of vibhuti. And the dream ended so beautiful. And I got up that next day morning and I told my cousin, my family there, that Swami is here. No need to worry about padukas. Swami is everywhere else. So like he's everywhere else, he's within us, you know, around us, above us, below us, everywhere. Jai Sai Ram. Thank you. Any questions? I have no idea about that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I do not know anything about it. Any other questions?
I want to know how you got started on the medical camps. What inspired you to do such a good
Thank you. That's transformation of heart is what I forgot to mention. That was one chapter was left in my diary. Like I said, you know, my ardent wish was always, being a doctor's wife, was to see that we do medical camps for the needy. So it happened so that I was always praying to Swami while we were doing house cleaning projects. I was praying to Swami all the time that, Swami, we got to do something like this. And got exposed to the one of the retreats at that time. The first retreat we went to was where my hero, my model, Jagadishan uncle, came from Malaysia, and he was the main speaker. He gave such inspiring talk and incredible video presentation that evening. It blew my mind, and I said, oh my God, you know, what incredible things they are doing in Malaysia. I said, why don't we do something like this here? The next day, he talked about all the doctors in the group gathered up there in the mountain to make promissory note to Swami and put it on Swami's feet and make commitment that if there's an opportunity comes in, to come forward to run the medical camp or a medical mission. I told my husband, why don't you put it? It's a great opportunity. And he said, oh, I would love to, but what if I'm on call? If an opportunity comes, what if there is something like that? I said, you don't worry, Swami takes care. If you really want to do it, Swami creates the avenue for us. So everybody did, and I was so tempted. I said, I'm not a doctor, but I will make a note quietly. So I wrote, Swami, I would love to be involved in medical camp, but I'm not a doctor, but I'm very good in house cleaning, toilet cleaning. So I could clean the toilets in the medical camp. That is something I could do very well. I said, please make me do this in the medical, you know, help me with this desire of mine, you know, being in a medical camp. So quietly I went and put it after everybody left. All the doctors came and put it in, including my husband. Then quietly I put that also in there. And I prayed to Swami. And after Jagadish and uncle left, the thought came to me so much. And I came to know there was a camp going on already in Jain temple. So I went in there to volunteer with my husband and a cardiologist. We got exposed to that. And the opportunity came just incredibly in Corona, the same year when the attack happened in New York, 2002, or 2001, I think, I'm not too sure, maybe it was 2001. It happened, and the opportunity came for us to form a group together, and that's an incredible story on its own. The place that was given to us was in YMCA, by the YMCA director, and the city was involved, the Chamber of Commerce was involved, the Park and Recreation was involved, 7 interfaith groups were involved, and Sai devotees, and the main person who was really working on it was Nosh Wadoli at the time. He was the main, you know, person behind all of this. What happened was when you want to do something, this is my experience, when you really want to do something from your heart, you will sometimes have obstruction. But when you have devotion and one, focus on it and you want to work towards it, Swami creates the avenue. And that's exactly what happened here. What happened was the building was given to us was in YMCA. When everything was planned from our end, doctors had signed in, we were about to finalize the flyer at the Chamber of Commerce meeting. The YMCA director walks in and she says, "I'm sorry, we cannot do this camp." And I was representing the interfaith group. I was the only one as a Sai devotee sitting there. And we looked at one another. Even the chamber president was very active, Bobby Spiegel, and his wife Karen Spiegel, who is the current mayor right now for the second time. And we all looked at one. They said, "What happened?" She said, "Oh, I am still remodeling my bathrooms. They're not going to be ready. The city is not giving me any permission." And the city people were sitting right there in the meeting, along with Parks and Recreation. So Bobby Spiegel said right away, "Oh, do you want me to talk? We can work this out. We can make this happen." She said, "No, no, no. I cannot do that. We just cannot do it." And everybody looked at me and they said, "What's going to happen? Are we going to cancel?" And I said, "No. We will continue to look for another building. We're not going to stop it." And I came home that night. It was Thursday meeting. I remember Friday, we had a retreat in Occidental College. And I came home getting ready for the event to go to the retreat. I told Swami in the prayer room, crying. I said, "Swami, we have worked all along. How can this happen?" I said, "Swami, with your grace, I'm not going to let this happen. We have to get a building and we have to continue to do it because we have worked everything behind the scene." And I went to the retreat. Shankar from Tustin Center was the speaker. He was talking incredible things about Swami, and I kept assuring myself, yes, Swami is there. He will see to it. We're not going to let this go away, this golden opportunity. It is going to come through. It'll work out. The next Monday, the following Monday, I was called by the two members, that is the Chamber of Commerce president as well as another city member, had called me to look into different parks, rooms, as well as different buildings in the town that was vacant. Every time I looked at it, I would tell them, "I need to go and talk to my president." They did not know who it was. It was my Swami in the prayer room. I would go, put the note on Swami's feet. "Swami, do you want me to get this?" Whatever Swami would pick up, I said, "Swami, I'm going to pick it up." So that day, when the choice was given, even though there was a building that was going to be given absolutely free for us, and the chamber president was telling me, "Roopa, we should get it. This is free. The city Parks and Rec is going to charge us $1,200. He said, "You got to pay for it. You don't have to go for it. You can get this building free." I said, "Let the president decide." I went home, put it on Swami's feet. I said, "Swami, you decide which one is the right one to go." Swami picked up Victoria Park, where we had to pay $1,200. But we never looked back. We said, "Okay, we're going to pay for it and take that building." Because Swami made the decision from day one in my life. I always let Swami make the decision, from my business end to buying a car to naming the children. Everything was done by Swami for us. And I let Swami decide on it. And the meeting continued. We did our medical camp up there. On the day of the camp, the YMCA president did not show up. She had already committed to pay for the rental, not the chairs and tables, because we had to rent out everything before everything was given free in YMCA building. And she was such a wonderful person. She told me, "Roopa, even though it's not happening in our building, I want to pay for the furniture, part of it, because you have to rent the building and we will take care of that." And she paid for the furniture to come in. I was very disappointed not to see her. And I was wondering, when the building was not given to us, I had told Swami, "You have a plan. I have to surrender and march on." We do not know what we have in store, but he has a plan not to do that in that building. And I didn't see her that day. I was surprised. After the camp was over, I talked to the chamber president and I said, "How come Yolanda is not here?" And he says, "Roopa, her family was threatened. She had to leave town and she's gone somewhere for some time. And that is the reason the building was not given to us. Swami refused to give the building. If the building was given to us, the camp would not have happened that day, because she had to leave town, not letting anybody know where she was for some time, probably for a month or so, because her life, her family life was threatened. So when you surrender to Swami and march on with that faith, he creates the avenue, he makes it happen, and everything happens for the best. Thank you, Sai Ram.